sent to a factory. So it's very important as a designer, even though I'm not using factories at the moment, to start being able to do flat drawings, so that when I do get a professional job and start earning money and cease to be a student, which is very sad, but one day I have to do that. That's what gets sent off to the factory to make.
What package do you use?
Illustrator.
Wow.
Yeah, but these are actually hand drawn. I'm not very good at Illustrator, so I pretend that I have used Illustrator. So, well, they don't ask, and it's, you know, it's all fine. As long as I can draw them, it's fine.
Have you got the tablet?
The tablet? No.
That would be good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are just the collection. So kind of based on this kind of scallop theme, I drew around basically, and this is on a this knit. I should have sampled it actually, but this knit is actually on a big circular machine. So it's all computer, so it's like it prints it, but in knitwear. So it just uses different coloured threads, and it does different. It's like a yeah, it looks like a print, but it's actually knitted with the colours. And so you can do some really beautiful things on that machine. And I can even make it into something 3D as well.
So is that for presentational purposes, or is that for actually the garment?
Oh, so the computer, the circular machine, that'd be for the garment.
Yeah.
So it'll be knitted on this big computerised machine. I'll have to scan in this image or scan in exactly what I wanted to knit, and that's it for me. So with the help of a very good technician at college. So yeah, that's it.
Great.
And then I've got 2 more projects.
So is that everything you do on your garments completely knitted, or do you have other materials and other techniques?
This portfolio has more this is more knit heavy, the other one's a little bit more woven based. But it's good to use both, I think, because I think it's good to be kind of an all-round good designer, and also you're always going to be working with woven with, you know, apparel designers, so it's really important to be able to understand what they're talking about. So it's good to, often they won't understand what I'm talking about, but it's good to know what they're talking about, because usually they're the ones who put together the collection, and the knitwear is obviously brought in to be the real money maker. So. And then this is the last project I've done, and it's the tailoring project. And being a knitwear designer, tailoring is not my forte, so we had to come up with a kind of a twist on it, because the class I'm in is split into class, I think, 16, and 18, and 6 of them are knitwear, and the other 12 are just women's wear. So, but we're given the same project, and we're just going to take a slightly different slant on it. So, these are a few of my drawings from my sketchbook, but they're very small. And then pages. So this is all knitwear here, and it's made out of a weaving yarn, which it's got like a silk organza, which weavers use, but I kind of multiplied it up and knitted with it, which gave this really kind of crisp, very structural effect. So, but unfortunately you can't get it wet, so I had to spray pigment dye over it instead of actually, I wanted to dip dye it, but you can't get it wet, so it's all goes floppy and all the gum gets lost. So these 2 pages are going to be in the Italian Vogue at some point in the next year. Blurb.
Is that the actual size of the drawings that you made? That's full size drawings. These ones here, the ones that are
these are originals.
These are the originals.
Yeah, these are originals. Yeah. So I don't. I only copy them down if they're too big. Like the other ones are this actual scale. These are the. And I tend to work on cheap paper because I get too precious otherwise. Like, oh, it's a nice sheet of paper, I can't do anything to it. Yeah, if it's a bit of a scrap piece of paper, I tend to do my best work, because you don't get so uptight and so precious about like mark making, really. So, this is more knitwear.
do any of these become full garments? Or
Yes, this one did.
And how do they, who decides that, or how do, you know, who?
I decide that.
You decide that, okay.
Generally, I design the collection. I have a rough idea what I want to do. I make the garment, then I sometimes have to retweak the drawing to get it to look like what the actual garment looks like. So, because you have an idea, and sometimes it's not all physically possible. It just won't work, and so my job is basically mark making and problem solving. So it's a real problem solving exercise. So that one was actually made, and then we were given this fantastic fabric from a mill, and I made that jacket in it, and also had a few other ideas for dresses. And this is just yeah, and this is the final illustration of the dress I made. Okay, is that about time? How am I doing time-wise?
Yeah, getting pretty close, but that's amazing.
So yeah, and then I'll just show my last, this one here. This is a technical project, because I'm a knitwear designer. It's very technical, it's very mathematical course, and it was just basically, can you make a cut and sew garment, and can you make a fully fashion garment? And there's two ways of doing knitwear, well there's more than two ways, but the two main ways of producing knitwear is cutting a sheet of knitwear and sewing it up like your jumper. So that's a cut and sew piece. Or there's a fully fashioned piece where it's actually made on the machine in the correct shape. You have little marks down the side, and I think your jumper is probably fully fashioned. So I just had to make a fully fashioned garment and a cut and sew garment to prove that I can do both. So, and this is made. This is pleated integrally on the machine. So the pleats are put into the machine, like. So that's not pleated afterwards. That's pleated as you go, as you knit it. And I made this garment. I'm on a Charlton College. Any questions?
What's your inspiration then for something like this? Where do you get your ideas from?
Generally photographers. I really love seeing what photographers definitely moods and ideas, and I tend to get a feel for what the collection will feel like before it actually
From other clothes or from other sources?
No, you try not to look at other clothes. It's better to look at shapes of, sometimes sculptures are really good influence, and artists and other. Sometimes it can be a lot more ambiguous. It's, I think if the show my front page, these are a few of the images that I looked at. That kind of created the collection, and it's often different shape. This is quite photography heavy. Usually it's a lot more ambiguous. So I go to museums and look at objects and see if they relate in a fashion way. So you are slightly stealing. It's slightly stealing, but I think it's done in a good way. Because you're changing it and you're making your own. Yeah.
So what artists are you drawn to?
Well, every fashion designer says Yvon Chouinard. So that's just the standard, response. Just because of the way you're being
there over there.
That's natural response. There's also a great guy called John Worthington. Quite unknown, but I really love his work, and he does really beautiful figurative drawings. Anyone who can draw a figure, I'm really inspired by, because I think that's quite impressive. So, yeah.
And I guess a lot of your inspiration comes from actually just working heavily with the materials and with kind of knitting and seeing its possibilities and being very close to it physically.
Yes, I work with. 3 girls in my group actually came from textile backgrounds rather than fashion design backgrounds. So for them, they're straight on the machines. They're knitting straight away, and then they use their knitwear to create what they want to create. Whereas, because I came from a design background, I try and draw it first and then try and see if I can create a knit that will do what I want, so structurally and how the fabrics fit together. So there's different approaches, and there's no right or wrong way about it. It's just the way it is. It's quite encouraging being a Christian in fashion industry, because we're seeing more Christians emerging. And there's another girl in my class who loves the Lord as well, and that's first, 6 years ago, I felt a little bit isolated. There wasn't really anyone who I knew to go to church or be involved in any sort of kind of spiritual activity in a way. And now, if you've been at it a long time, you start to kind of it's a little bit kind of trying to hunt people down. But I recently did a fashion show, and I was dressing one of the models. And I went on her Facebook, we got on really well, and she, Facebooked her reading the Bible as one of her pictures. And I was like, how encouraging is that, it's just absolutely incredible. And I'm like, you're a Christian! I'm a Christian too! And she's like, oh wow, that's amazing! So it's usually very exciting when people come to the Christian.
Do you find that you sometimes share similar feelings or approach or attitude with someone like that than perhaps others?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a good friend of mine in my last course who I knew to be a Christian, and the reason I did is because we were both getting married at the same time. And I thought, why are you getting married? Why are you getting married? And it's kind of it had that kind of similar. But I think you tend to be a little bit more grounded if you're a Christian in the area of work. I mean, that's a very broad generalisation, but you tend to. Work's not it is your life, but it doesn't consume every waking hour. You do go home, and there's, that's not what all, obviously it's something God gives us as a gift, and, I've got to use it for His glory, but it's not the be all and end all of my life. There's something else there, which I think does add the balance, I think. Whereas fashion's quite intensive, I think it can be quite, very all-consuming something. So it's all-consuming for me, but in a hopefully more balanced way. So.
It's great that you're able to maintain such a high standard while doing other things and social church and other connections, and at the same time pursue.
Yeah, I mean I'm co-president of the Christian Union at the Royal College of Art, which is an absolute blessing and would be, and it takes up a lot of time. But since I've done that, and since I took up that role, I've had absolute amazing blessings poured out on me through my work, and I've had a lot of kind of good things happen with my work. And I do believe that if you invest in God's kingdom, that He's going to bless you in other places, like in your work. And I do worry about the time I don't have, and the time that other people, are spending hours on this. I think God uses that for your benefit, and really enriches your life and your work through. So sometimes it's a worry, but you've got to remember you're not supposed to worry about these things. It's all for the glory of God. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Caroline. I think that's